Walvis Bay. This is another coastal city in Namibia. It's the second biggest city by population after Windhoek. This city really blew my mind. I thought it wasn't going to have much, but it has a lot. We drove from Swakopmund to Walvis Bay. It's about a 30-minute drive. I just loved this view where you're driving and you can see both the desert and the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. I wanted to visit Walvis Bay because I wanted to see the flamingos. This area is called the Flamingo Lagoon. I actually didn't do much research on the best time to see them, but it's one of the must-see sites when you visit Swakopmund. So I was going to try no matter what. I just showed up and there were hundreds, even thousands of flamingos. I've heard that the flamingos are actually at the lagoon all year round, so there's no specific season to see them. The numbers may vary per season though. I have to say, it's better to visit in the morning. After 12, I remember just buses full of tourists came by and it was quite crowded. There are no fees to get close to the flamingos, but you can book a tour guide to learn more about the flamingos. There were a lot of other birds as well, but they were harder to see because the flamingos were just too many of them. After I saw the flamingos, I got some food at a nearby restaurant called the Flamingo Villas. The food was great and really cheap. The people I met, they had a similar vibe to the ones in Windhoek. Really lovely people. I met this lady called Dali. She was waiting our table and I really wasn't feeling well. I had a cold. Dali offered to make me a remedy to make me feel better. Then a few minutes later, she came back with this tea. And after I had a few sips, I felt so much better. And it was so delicious. If she's ever going to see this video, thank you so much, Dali. When we were coming from Swakopmund to Walvis Bay, I didn't get to see much of the neighborhoods because there was a sandstorm. Then on our way back, the storm calmed down and I could see the neighborhoods clearly and the views of the buildings exceeded my expectations. For some weird reason, I thought Swakopmund would be a bigger city than Walvis Bay, and that Swakopmund would have way more things to do than Walvis Bay. This is why you should do your research before you travel, because there's so much more I didn't get to see because I didn't do enough research on Walvis Bay, and I'm finding out more about it after I left. Oh well, there's always next time. I've been to a few cities now, but nothing like Walvis Bay. I would say it's the most unique city I've been to. I really would like to see any movies filmed here. If there isn't any, then there should be a set of a movie. It actually looks this way because it's on the Namib desert and it faces the Atlantic Ocean. So just like Swakopmund. But unlike Swakopmund, which I've already done a video on by the way, it's on my page under Namibia if you're interested. Walvis Bay looks like it's been swallowed by the sand. From afar, it looks like a bunch of toy houses that have been left at the beach, but this is real life, real people's homes. I want to know, how do they deal with the sand though? I mean, how do you even build on this kind of surface? There's sand everywhere and they get a lot of sandstorms. And for the people who live here, how do they even prevent the sand from getting into their homes? I wish I had a chat with someone about this. But if anybody knows, let me know in the comments down below. Except for the areas that had shacks or slums, I noticed the buildings look really well maintained in Walvis Bay. I would say this is the case for all of the cities I visited in Namibia. I wonder if it's because they don't get a lot of rainfall, since rain can ruin buildings, but then they do get a lot of sandstorms. I mean, the houses in this area look like they've just been renovated. Or maybe they just used really good materials when they're building the houses. Another thing to point out, I have to say, the differences between Swakopmund and Walvis Bay is that I feel like Walvis Bay had less of a tourist vibe and had a lot of residential homes, whereas In Swakopmund, it felt like most places were hotels or they were catering to tourists. Walvis Bay also seemed a lot cheaper than Swakopmund, mainly in terms of hotels. The thing about Namibia though, almost every city I visited, not just Walvis Bay, you can really see the wealth gap. There's such a big contrast between the neighborhoods. So you have the townships. Historically, they were created to house black people. This was during the apartheid system. If you haven't watched my previous videos on Namibia, Namibia was colonized by South Africa, the European-looking South Africans to be specific. And South Africa imposed the apartheid system on Namibia, so Namibia had the same racist laws as South Africa. The laws that denied black people a lot of rights. Some things haven't changed because Namibia only got its independence in 1990. So some people, or should I say a lot of people who lived through this system are still alive, and some are still living in the townships. The houses in the townships just look normal, but in the other neighborhoods, you can really see the display of wealth. So when you're driving as well, just like in Swakopmund, you can't get reduced visibility when there's a sandstorm. Thankfully, the roads are great in Namibia, so that makes it a lot easier. This would be a nightmare if you had to drive at night. But Namibia in general is not the best place to drive at night. They just have so many wild animals running up and down on the roads, especially at night. So you can easily hit one. I don't think the animals I saw in this region would cause such issues though, because I only saw the flamingos, seals, and camels. The camels were in the park. But in other Namibian cities, we saw even guinea fowls crossing the streets. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know in the comments on what you think about Walvis Bay, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.